now plugged into the Social Plug Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? I am Johnny Martinez, and you are plugged into the Social Plug Podcast, where we connect you to level up and where we discuss and highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We are always powered by Social Plug Media. Today, we have the distinct pleasure of being downtown San Antonio. As you can see behind me, I got a whole bunch of cool stuff, a lot of cool buildings, a lot of trees. J-Rock, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, man? You got a pretty good scenery back there, bro.
Yeah,
in San Antonio, man. I'm loving it out here, bro.
The weather's nice, the sun is shining, and it's a great day for a podcast.
That's right, man. It's been a minute, too. About a week? What do you think?
About a week, man. I'm over here itching for a podcast. I've been like asking
Give me some
you
of those clips.
Yeah, hey, where's our podcast guest? So speaking of podcast guests, man, we have had some pretty cool guests, some extraordinary people that are doing some amazing things, not only in the community but in the world. We've had some pretty cool comedians. We did a live audience podcast last week with a man named John Polar Bear Gonzalez. That was pretty cool. And it's just amazing what we've been able to accomplish as far as content creation, as far as building relationships, connections, and beyond. So some of these people have some pretty cool stories, and they do some pretty great things, man. And what's cool about our podcast is we're able to highlight them, not only highlight them, but engage with our audience and show our audience that we can have some inspiring guests, some motivational guests, some educational guests, some comedy and entertainment as well. And today is no different. So we have a pretty cool guest, man. And this young lady, we've known her for a while. I'd say 4 or 5 years I've known of her in the New Braunfels area. And she is a leader. And when I say a leader, I mean, people use that word. They just throw it around sometimes. Everybody's a leader. So we should all be a leader in some way, shape, or form. We should lead ourselves and lead small teams like our families, our children and things like that. But this lady here, she leads big teams and she leads corporate entities as well with strategies, business strategies. She even teaches people about body language, J-Rock. So body language is a big deal, not only in the corporate world, but in life. So she's a body language strategist. And she is the CEO and founder of the Business Leadership and Excellence Institute. So that's a big deal too. And she not only does leadership stuff from the corporate level, but she is a former opera singer. Not former, she might still be an opera singer. We'll get into that. All right.
I wonder if she can hit that high pitch, that really high pitch. You know, in the movies, they get pretty high within your glass breaks. You know what I mean?
Do you remember the movie Step Brothers?
I do.
That opera song at the very end. I forget the name of it, but
man,
they killed it, right?
Yeah,
and we might get into that. Who knows? She might sing. I don't know.
I got it in my head, but I'm not going to try to sing it at all or even hum it.
Hey, I'm sure the audience would love to have you sing.
Oh no, they would not.
Sing some opera.
You'll see my body language after. Yeah. It's gonna look pretty bad.
Yeah. Hey, so we're gonna school you today, J-Rock, and I'm gonna get schooled, hopefully, on my posture. Because my posture right now might be bad.
Well, my back hurts a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, my posture, I sometimes I'm mindful of it, but sometimes I lose focus and I just start slouching, and hell, even on the podcast sometimes.
I know this might go a little south, but I've been seeing these people put these belt on and then they'll pull these strings and fix it.
Yeah, you got the shoulders back, the chest out, the head, head nine straight forward, and there's some times where I might be leaning like this.
I think that's just your San. I know we're in San Antonio right now. I think that's just your San Antonio South Side.
Yeah,
you know
man.
What I mean? We're growing up a little bit, showing your colors.
Yeah. We'll get into that. Do I have the right posture to be a podcast host, or or what do I need to improve?
I like this body language reading though, because I work with kids and I can see a lot of that in them. You know, whether you're getting after them or whether you praise them. Mm-hmm. You know, and sometimes some of these kids just have a still face. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm interested to hear about what aspect that comes from.
Yep.
You know? So.
And what's cool is I think we need to teach them young on posture and body language and presentation, because your presentation is everything, J-Rock. If you look like a slouch and you're just kind of hunched over, people are going to look at you like, oh, this guy is not where we need him to be as far as promoting him to a leadership role. And because people are going to look at you and they're going to want to, put themselves in your shoes and be like, man, I want to be like this guy, but he's a little hunched over. Maybe I don't want to be like this guy. So that kind of plays a big role in that. Yeah. So this young lady, she's also a trainer, and she's an award-winning trainer as well. She's trained a lot of people, and we'll completely get into that. Who she's trained and why she's trained and how she's been able to make an impact in the training world and beyond. There's just a bunch of cool stuff, man. So it's a pleasure and honor, distinct honor, to introduce my friend Kerstin Oleta.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It is. I have been watching your show for a while, and so I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Hey, we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
So I kind of led into it a little bit. I kind of highlighted you, and did I miss anything at all?
Those were the main points. Yes.
How's my posture, by the way, Kerstin?
As a core, we're just going to dive right into this
dive right in.
away.
I like this. I like this.
Yeah,
okay.
This is how I roll. I would say in general, it's balanced. That's what we're always looking for in body language is how much are we, thank you, stabilizing the body, because that's one of the things that helps our energy stay up and helps us feel motivated and helps us to connect and be focused. That's part of coming across as authentic and confident. So when I'm looking at somebody, and I will tell you, every time I tell somebody I'm a body language strategist, you're like, so.
Do they stand up a little bit more?
Okay, so, all of a sudden they get crazy antsy. I said, okay, hold on. They're like, why are you picking me apart? I said, no, I'm not. The way I see people is they're just a bunch of Lego pieces. And you can put them together different ways and you get a different look. And so when I see someone, I'm like, oh, well, okay, if we did this, and this, then look, everything looks great, right? And now you're going to get a better response. You're going to build rapport faster. And so I don't criticize people for how they're holding their body or how their presence is showing up. It's more, how can I encourage you with what you have and what you're doing and then where you want to go?
Nice.
So there is, it's a basic thing that we've learned, and what I've learned, because it's not only your body language, but your body language includes your eyes, your listening, your responses, things like that. So the way I am now, with my hands interlocked, my fingers interlocked.
I've never seen you sit like this before.
On my knee. So it shows, tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
It shows that I am attentive to you, and I'm looking in your eyes, and I'm listening. And I'm waiting. I'm not waiting to respond. I'm waiting to listen and then respond after you've given me your information. Because there's a lot of podcasters that interrupt, right? And I might have interrupted before on previous, episodes. Who knows? Because when we're talking to each other, sometimes we want to just get your information out, my own information,
right.
And it doesn't matter what you say sometimes, right? And sometimes people that are talking, they put their arms and they're crossed.
Yes.
And that shows that I'm a little on defense and I'm hostile.
Right. That's a barrier.
Right. So if I'm talking to you right now, Kerstin, and my hands are, it just means like, hey, I'm just looking at you in a smug way, like, okay, what do you got to say?
Right. And it's a more, not necessarily defensive, but it is a boundary factor of when we see someone with crossed arms, even though the facial expression, it might be positive, it might, we might have good eye contact. It's still, when this is crossed in front of you, we're saying, okay, but you still have to get to me. And there's going to need to be a convincing factor. There's going to need to be a something that I need to buy into instead of opening the space in front of us. Even if your hands are crossed here, I'll give you a little magic tip. If we have space between the elbows and the body, we're saying I'm open. Okay. So, because everybody's always like, what are you doing with your hands? It's all the whole picture. If the hands are not, now, if you had your hands like this and they're all tight, right? That's like, that there's something that you have internally going on that is resistant.
Like maybe I'm nervous,
right.
Or maybe I have something to say and I'm waiting to say this. I'm going to drop a bomb. And I'm just waiting, like I'm,
Right. It's not in a relaxed, open motion. It's not in a relaxed, open moment. So what we do physically is the response of what we're thinking mentally. And it's always, body language always starts from the inside out. And so that's what I say about body language strategy and how that's my methodology that I built coming off my experience as an opera singer is we need to look at what's happening on the inside so it translates on the outside correctly. That's what we want people to see because then they're getting who we are, what we want them to connect to, and then we're being more authentic instead of controlling. So it's all the nuances, but again, it's all the Lego pieces put together as the full presence, not just, I put my hand like this and I flip my hair like that. Those things can be nicely timed, right, for effect, but we want all the pieces working well together for the full presence.
Gotcha. So you said to flip the hair, and that kind of gave me the mindset because we see a lot of ladies flipping the hair sometimes. Some people say that's flirtatious. Is that correct or is that offline?
It depends on how windy it is. Yes. I would say as someone who has long hair, sometimes you are subconsciously doing that just to, okay, my hair is getting in my face. But it can be used very intentionally as a flirty factor. As we're looking at different parts of the body, the parts that are vulnerable, the neck, the torso in general, from the bottom part of the jaw all the way down to the pelvic bone in the front is our most vulnerable part of the body. So as we're opening up the body, whether it's from side to side, like I said, some space between the elbows and the body, or vertically, when we're moving stuff out of the way, right, of this space right here, we're like, okay, I'm going to let you into that, a visual of that space. And that is considered flirty.
Could it be maybe not flirting, but maybe a sign of confidence as well? And maybe it's subconscious that they don't even realize they do it. Because a lot of people...
It can be.
A lot of people have no idea that they're doing these body language gestures. Whether they're slouching or whether they're standing up straight. They just don't know. They're just trying to get comfortable in a way that they know how.
Exactly. And most people are only aware of about 40% of their body language. And I always say, if my kids come home with a 40% on their math test, we're going to have a conversation they're not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? If we're showing up, whether it's in our personal life or our business life, only producing actively 40% of we want people to get, we're not going to get the response we're looking for. Right. And that's where you have the situation where someone goes in and does a pitch or does a business presentation and they know someone else is coming in who's not maybe as qualified, doesn't have the same skill sets they do. Really, they're not the better fit for that particular job. But for whatever reason, they got it, not you. That sits in that 60% of body language that you don't understand. You're transmitting. But that 60% is still affecting the decision.
Yeah.
Always.
And so we've seen people, like I go to restaurants and I see interviews going on. And I set appearance and presentations, everything. There needs to be a class sometimes for these youngsters on how to dress for an interview, how to present yourself in an interview, not saying, those kind of things can make or break you. But the posture, because I see them, and I'm no strategist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just a mindful person who's been living a while, and I can read people, and I can read if they're attentive, if they're bored, if they are ready to go to the next level as far as leadership position, because leaders typically, not always, but they stand firm and stand straight, and they stand in a way that shows they're in charge.
Right.
And they're not trying to be showing that sometimes, but they're just naturally like that.
Right.
And I see some of these people going, whether it be Bill Miller Barbecue or Wendy's or McDonald's, but I'm watching the interview and I can't hear anything, but I can just see by the body language, some of these people look disinterested.
Yeah, it's not going well.
No. So do you think there should be like somebody like yourself going into high schools, colleges, and maybe you do, I'm not sure. Or do you work for, so you've been doing this for a while. Do people hire you individually?
Yes, they do. Yes. So I work with individual leaders. I work with teams, in different ways. I'm in talks with universities right now about bringing this into universities because I agree with you. We're giving all these young people an incredible amount of knowledge, skill sets, but we're not giving them the ability to sell it.
If we don't correct them early, they're going to go on for decades with horrible posture.
Right.
And if you go into these leadership roles, like you said, the 60-40 thing, that can make or break you for the next level. And people,
absolutely.
people won't take you seriously if you don't really know how to stand or sit or even listen during a counseling session. I was in the military.
Right.
So as a supervisor and as a manager and as a leader, I would have to make sure I'd be mindful and cognizant that I would have to show empathy and show that I was definitely interested in their concerns and their problems in order for me to solve them. If I just had my feet on the desk and just looking lazy, they weren't going to take me serious and my credibility was going to be shot.
Right.
But people need to understand this from an early age, whether it be high school, middle school, college, or maybe a little bit older. But if they're working for somebody or they're just in life, they have to understand that.
Presence is the permission you give others of how and why they're going to want to work with you. And when we show up with that absolute, it's not so much in control, and that's definitely a message I want to get out there because we're like, oh, okay, I got to be in control. Well, no, now you're just stiff and you look very uptight.
Awkward.
That goes too far,
Right.
the other way. So it's learning that balanced, centered core presence and being able to carry that in everything you do. That's what starts creating opportunities everywhere. No, whether, again, it's a business opportunity, whether it's organizationals, I do a lot of charity work, charity opportunities, personal opportunities, all those things all come from the permission you've given to interact with other people with your presence that is now inviting, confident, giving that space for others to feel heard, to be seen, like you said, eye contact, all those things make a difference.
Even going on a stage sometimes to speak.
Always.
I've seen some speakers, some keynote speakers, which you're also a keynote speaker,
Yes.
an international keynote speaker, by the way.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of bad postures and a lot of bad habits when it comes to speaking.
Oh, yes.
Now, some of the main things that I've seen is touching the ring, just playing with the ring, which
Yes.
I think that's pretty typical. I've seen that, or the hands, doing this with the hands. And I'm a hand talker. I talk with my hands all the time, and I don't even realize it sometimes.
Right.
And when I go back onto the podcast and I watch some of these clips, I'll see myself talking kind of like I'm doing now.
Right.
I'm doing it intentionally right now, but sometimes I have no idea that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So even going on stage, people are going to either be a part of it in a good way, or they're going to be like, let's tune this guy out because he's just moving around too much and it's too much activity up there. So do you see that often as well?
I do. I see both sides of it where there's no movement whatsoever and there's nothing for us to respond to. As humans, we love movement. And the more refined that movement is, the higher of echelons we put that person at. And it doesn't matter how much experience they've had, right? That's the difference. We're in football season, and I like to say the biggest difference between a rookie and a Hall of Famer is the Hall of Famer not only has put the work in, but they make it, because they put the work in, they make it look easy. So when we show up and we're giving this space of, I look very confident, I look elegant in what I'm doing, I talk well, I talk with fluidity is, okay, one word, and I like to explain that word because everybody's going, what are you talking about? When we're in the space of being able to explain, whether it's a keynote, whether it's a business presentation, all those things, we want to have fluid thought, and we want to have fluid tone, and we want to have fluid vocal cadence. So I call all of that space fluidity. And getting into that is where learning how all that works together in the body, because that, again, starts on the inside. That starts with your breast support, which is back to my opera days. That is making sure, and this is what a lot of people don't understand when they get caught up in their vocal speech and they're fumbling and we're getting a lot of that type of thing. That's because the breath rate and the thought rate aren't moving in the same pace. Getting those two to move together and actually finding what that is for each person solves that problem. But people don't know to look for that.
Right. It's kind of like just walking.
Yeah,
You
it
can't
is.
walk too fast and you can't walk too slow. You got to have
Right.
that moderate. And when you're speaking, what I found, because I'm a speaker, I've had some experience speaking.
Right.
I've noticed when I first started, I knew what I was going to say, but my mouth was a little slower. Or sometimes it's sped up. And then I
Right.
started fumbling and things like that. And then what happens, you get completely thrown off.
Right. Right.
And then it's sometimes a disaster and sometimes people notice it.
Yes. Yes.
So in a podcast, because you're also a podcaster,
Yes, I am.
you have to maintain not only your posture, but you have to maintain your voice, your enunciation.
Yes.
That's huge as well. You can't be talking in your, like with your buddies. Hey,
No.
dude. Hey, bro. Hey, maybe for some audiences.
Depends on some podcasts,
It
yes.
might be cool. And for some of our audiences and guests, we might, be a little bit more diverse or might change it up. But today we got to make sure, because our audience today might be a little bit more mature,
Right.
might be a little bit more professional, a little
Yes.
corporate, things like that. So we got to make sure that we maintain not only the professionalism, but the enunciation, the posture, and those kind of things. So we got to make sure that we're always aware. And it goes beyond just the posture, but it's the mindset as well. When you
Yes.
walk in a room, you got to make sure you understand what kind of audience you're going to go into.
Well, and that's to talk to that. It was interesting in my experience because I've worked with Fortune 500 companies all over the world. I did training for Google at their headquarters in Kirkland, Washington. I've worked with multiple directors all over the world with eBay Global. And so when I was building body language strategy, and this is a true story, I really was paying attention to what's the difference between culturally, what we find acceptable and what we're looking for in leadership, only human to human, and what is responded to, and what's more of the cultural nuance difference when we're, let's say, I was working with some of the directors in Europe versus here in the United States. And I had a wall of sticky notes of what's the difference between the two. And I brought that all into learning. There's 4 different things we're looking for in a leader as humans. And we're looking for confidence, we're looking for competence, we're looking for someone we can trust, and we look for someone who is approachable. When you have those 4 things in place,
Those are pillars.
yes, and I call them the 4 pillars of body language success. And so I built body language strategy around those 4 because it doesn't matter where you're at on the face of the planet. Everybody responds to those. If you have all 4 showing when you walk through the door, you are automatically seen as a leader.
I know when myself and some others that I've been affiliated with, I was always taught and trained when I was in the Air Force. When you walk in a room, you walk in there with confidence, where you're not starstruck by anybody. Because I used to work
Right.
with four-star generals and majors and colonels. I looked at everybody just as colleagues.
Right.
We all just had different positions.
Right.
And we were all somewhere different in our lives and throughout our careers, but we were all the same.
Exactly.
And I know some people get intimidated and starstruck and all this, but I was like, there's people just like me. So I was able to walk in those rooms. And even today, Kerstin, I walk in rooms like I know everybody and I have no clue who any of these people are. But I go up to them, I give them dab, shake their hands. Hey, what's going on, my friend? Hey, you look sharp. Hey, nice shoes. What? And it makes them feel comfortable. And it
Yes.
makes me feel approachable because you use that word as the pillar.
It's one of the main pillars, yes.
You gotta be approachable. Just like before I speak to people, I like going in there. I don't like just going in there cold where I just go on stage. I like going in there and mingling a little bit, if I could, with the audience members. So that way we build that rapport and they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, he's approachable and he's a cool guy. And they'll relate to me a lot better.
Absolutely.
And my message will
I
be
agree.
received a lot easier.
Yes.
And so those are things as well. We can get way deep in the weeds on all those kind of
Yes, we
things.
can.
But we have a lot
There's
of
lots.
things. Yeah, we have a lot of things to discuss. But I always say when you walk in a room, walk in that room with confidence.
Yes.
Shoulders back, chest out, head and eyes straight forward, and act like you've been there before.
Right. And I add on to that, walk out of the room with confidence too, because you don't know who's on the other side of that door.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's on every side of the doorway.
J-Rock, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think. Do you think that comes with more of confidence? Like, okay, let me put it this aspect. I would never be able to do what Johnny just said until I got around Johnny. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes I was like, dude, this is when I barely met John. I'm like, dude, this is more active than me. But the confidence part is what I was losing, because it was like, I knew who I was. I know what I've been doing, but I've always thought about what the other person thought of me. You know what I mean? And so, like, that set me back a lot, you know?
It does.
And so, like, when I see what he was doing, and he kind of coached me up, and I'm like, okay, like, just go out there and do it type deal, right? So, does that, I mean, obviously it's coachable, and you can learn that, but, like, do you get that a lot from, like, older people that they don't have that in them to kind of do that? Like,
everybody's built to do it. We're physically and emotionally built to do all these things. It doesn't matter the age. It really comes down to exposure, like you said. If you haven't had exposure to what that looks like, it's hard to model and to learn from.
gotcha.
So having experience, having exposure to it is huge. I always tell my clients, if you're waiting for a response, you're too late.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is you have lost the influence factor, because you're always chasing for the response. You're waiting. So you do something and then even if it's in a millisecond, you're still waiting. Like, okay, what did they think about that? Okay, what? And then so now you have to go through the thought. Okay, well, I guess I should probably do this. And you're constantly in this backwards loop instead of
sense.
going, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to show up. And I'm going to be approachable. I'm going to be confident about it. And because you're not, and the energy flow changes when you do that.
Yeah.
When you're in that forward motion of, I am very confident in why I'm here, even if you're not. As long as you have that confidence in yourself, it doesn't matter what the room is, right? And that's when opportunities find you. That's the difference between walking into a room and someone going, oh, hi, come here, right? Versus being in the room for 10 minutes and someone turns around and goes, oh, when did you get here? Right?
Gotcha.
That energy transmits through the room. And so that's what I call magnetism. I wouldn't say I'm against it, but mirroring is a big thing. You got to mirror the person. And I understand where that comes from, but that's a little bit Business 101, 1982. Right? That's back in the day. Magnetizing is because mirroring is, again, you're in that backward flow. I got to wait to see what they do. And then now let me do it. Okay. And then you're in this weird energy flow. So when I'm coming in and I'm saying, okay, this is really who I am. I'm confident about this. I'm comfortable with this. Now we're in a more authentic space and people feel that. And then they want to get into, okay, well, yeah, I feel that from you. Let me hear a little bit more about what you think about this or what you're doing. Now the conversation has an easier flow, right? So that's why I say it's not just this is when you toss your hair or put your hand like this. It's really about the full energetic and physical and mental presence all being one unified factor. That's what people connect with. That's what they want to connect with. And it makes the biggest difference in how you achieve in life, how you receive too. Because when you're in that space, you're more open to what's happening around you.
Right.
Right? I really do believe we listen better when we're in that confident space, because your brain space is not taken up with, oh my gosh, okay, did I just piss them off? Or, oh my gosh, I totally said that wrong. Oh, blah, 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 and it's just all going.
What's the next thing I should say type deal as well?
Right, because we're trying to be perfect, and perfect is gross. That's the grossest thing on the face of the planet.
Let's talk about that. What does that mean, perfect is gross?
Perfect is gross.
Because you have something coming out.
I do. And I've been teaching this for years. So perfect is gross because So going back to the energy thing, perfect is the lowest form of energy possible, human to human. And just how humans respond to perfect. When we see something that's perfect, our response is, don't, it's fine, don't touch it, it's fine, stop, right? And so all of a sudden we get into this very anxious space of it can't move fast, perfect, it's perfect, we have to stop. And it actually creates a anxiousness in the human stance. And then we are actively trying to stop the energy. And we're energetic beings. We're meant to connect through energy. We're meant to feel that energy. So when we're trying to be perfect as a human, that's what we're doing to ourselves. And we're stopping that energetic exchange. We're stopping the ability to connect with people. And we can't understand why no one wants to do anything with us. Why we lost that opportunity. Why did someone else get the job? Why did someone else get the promotion? Because you're trying so hard to be perfect, no one feels like they can connect with you, and no one honestly wants to.
No.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It is super exhausting
It is
to try to do that
so
too, right?
exhausting. Yes.
Yeah.
People become obsessed with trying to be perfect
Yes.
and trying to do everything, by a stair-step perfect way. And you can't. Sometimes you got to pivot. Sometimes you got to maneuver in a different way.
Yeah.
And I see people trying to be social media influencers all the time. And they psych themselves out trying to be perfect.
Yes.
And that's why they're like, nope, I can't do it. Or they try to emulate somebody else and they can't. Because
No.
I've said this before, we're all customized. Some of us are strong in one area and weak in another area.
Right.
And you cannot be just like everybody else. You got to create your own niche.
Right.
You got to create your own aura about you with confidence, with approachability. Because part of being a social media influencer is confidence and approachability.
Absolutely.
And what were the other two pillars?
Trust. So
Trust.
it's we'll
Like
go
business.
from the top. So
That's business.
confidence, competence. Right. There is actually body language and competence.
Knowing what you're doing is
Knowing what
competence.
you're doing, being able to translate that in how you're showing up. And then, so that's part of the speech, that's part of the vocal tone, all those things, body fluidity, that's part of the competence pillar. And then we have trust. And like I said earlier, how much are we exposing in a giving space of the vulnerable parts of our body? And we learned a lot about this through the pandemic, social distancing. I had to explain that to people. I don't have to do that anymore. People get it now. They fully understand.
We went a whole year with it.
Oh, man, way too long.
Not longer.
But it's, so, and then what do we do not only between the space between people, but also how do we show that in our own physical stance? And then the approachability, and that has a lot to do with eye contact, the facial. I mean, that's just
smiling.
the smiling, all those things.
You can't have RBF.
No.
And some people just do, and they don't even realize it. Sometimes I have RBF.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
sometimes.
See,
And then sometimes, honestly, I look unapproachable.
yes.
If I'm
yeah.
just out somewhere and I have RBF, 'cause I'm just thinking about something and I'm
Yeah.
just sitting there like this, and people are like, "Oh man, that guy
Like,
looks like
he's
he's
grumpy."
very unapproachable," and they get intimidated sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying by me, but by others, because an RBF makes you look angry and disturbed.
Or offish.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
And so people get
offish.
intimidated by others that look like that.
The other
Oh,
day,
yes.
the other day I was working at. I went to Scores to go just work on my computer, and I'm there and I'm like in the zone. I'm not really worried about anybody else. And then the waitress comes up and she's like, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" She goes, "Oh, you do smile." I'm like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, hold on." She's like, "Well, you looked very into it, but at the same time, you didn't smile when you walked in, so we didn't know how to really approach it."
Right.
So I was like,
See, that's the
that was-
opportunity
yeah,
factor.
that was,
That's
you
the
know?
that's
Yeah.
the permission you gave
Yeah.
with how much can you engage with me? And they were thinking, ooh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. Look
no.
at this guy. He's
Like,
not smiling.
here's your menu, right?
Or with passionate people, sometimes they look unapproachable.
Yes, they can.
People that are just there,
Yeah.
just preaching, they look unapproachable and they look very mad.
Yeah, they can.
And I do that with my kids sometimes. I'm passionate and I'm trying to teach them and train them
Yes.
on life-based scenarios sometimes. And they're like, "Dad, you're always yelling, you're always mad." I'm like, "No, you know if I'm yelling and you know if I'm mad. I'm not. That's just the way I talk."
Right.
But sometimes I see that, and you probably see that often when passionate people are trying to, they're very authentic because that's who they are sometimes, but they come across as anti-approachable.
Well, and that's why, part of the strategy is making sure you're actually matching the message with your presence. And some people, like you were saying, use that as, I'm just passionate. I can just act however I want.
Yeah.
Yes, you can, but that doesn't mean you're going to get the result you want.
You miss opportunities.
You're missing the opportunity if you're not magnetizing both those together, right? If we don't have that cohesion, we're missing that pull that we're going to have to other people of, yes, you're welcome into my space, you're welcome into my message. And it's not saying you can't have moments that paint a feeling. You can, but if you're stuck there, right, if that's where it stays, then that's where you can start cutting off opportunities.
Have you heard of Andy Frischella?
Yes.
Very passionate guy.
Passionate.
He looks very angry all the time.
Right.
I look at that as he's the real deal. Because there's sometimes I get great ideas and thoughts from an Andy Frischella rant on whether it be TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, whatever.
Right.
Sometimes I watch him and I'm like, wow, that guy, I want to get him on my podcast first off.
Right.
But he's the real deal. He's passionate because he's struggled. He's been burdened. He's been told that he wasn't going to amount to anything. He's been laughed at.
Yeah.
And now he's acting out with this passion, but he's trying to help others. But he's just missing the approachable factor.
Right.
Do you always need all four, or can 2 or 3 suffice?
You're always going to have more opportunity if you have all 4. Okay.
So if
And
Andy,
again, it's not about being perfect, right?
Right.
It's about what's the result you're looking for. What are the kind of opportunities you want to have? What's the kind of audience that you want to connect with? If his goal is to only connect with super passionate people in the same way that he is producing that,
check mark.
it's all of them.
The Gary
he is
V's.
approachable in the way he's looking to be.
The David Goggins, the Gary V's,
Yes,
the
right.
Jay Shetty's, these guys that are
Yes.
very passionate.
So that's the other side of it, is then your presence also becomes a vetting system of who do I want to attract? Do I want to be attracting only passionate people? Well, then stay in that space. You're spot on.
And that's what we talked about earlier about knowing your audience.
Knowing your
when you walk in
audience,
that room,
yes.
that's because if Andy Frischella changed his approach to act like Bob Ross,
Right.
he wouldn't be even relevant.
Exactly.
I don't think.
Well, and as a master body language strategist, I'm normally showing up in business attire. I'm all those things, right? But when I'm out with my kids, I'm not going to be dressed like this. But I still might run into someone where we talk about, what do you do for a living? I say, well, I'm a master body language strategist. I'm the CEO of my business institute. And I can be in jeans, my tennis shoes, my Seahawks baseball cap. I'm from Seattle, just had to say that. And
Go Rams.
Hawks. Hawks are killing it right now. And, and the funny thing is I always get this comment like, oh, yeah, you have really nice posture and your nails are really nice. Right? So we're paying attention to all the little things. And even when I'm out of the corporate bubble look, right, because my presence stays the same, I have automatic buy-in. Yep. And I can tell you, we talked, I'm an opera singer. I have never had somebody come up to me and go, no, you're not. Yes, I am. Right. And the majority of the time, people just go, okay, yeah, you are. And I've asked a couple people, I said, how do you know? Because you've never heard me sing. Well, you just, and then they get into their own head of like, why did I think that? And they said, well, yeah, you have good posture and you carry yourself really well. It makes sense that you're an opera singer. Right. So now you can sell the story without actually having to be in the middle of the story. So it opens not only doors, but it creates that magnetizing of buy-in. So you don't have to work so hard to get people to believe you, to get people to understand. You get the, yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you, because everything that I'm seeing makes me think this makes sense.
Right.
Yes.
How do you know okay, so what if, I don't want to make this sound bad. Like what if somebody's faking it? Like, so well that you don't know, like,
There is faking
another
it
scary
out
part?
there.
Like,
So this is where I always tell my clients, I expect you to use this for good. I expect you
gotcha.
to use this for good because it is something that enrolls people, right? This is a teachable factor. It's a teachable skill. I choose to use it for good. I always tell people I have stubborn on the front, I've got God on the back, and a really good head on my shoulders. That's kept me moving forward for a long time in a positive way. Not everybody is going to, unfortunately, use this for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah, that's what I'm
right?
saying,
They're going to
yeah.
use it for the betterment of themselves.
Yeah.
I can't make those choices for them. I can encourage them to make better choices. And I can also choose who I work with to help them make those choices.
This freaks me out because it's like wrestlers, bro. Like, that's what they do. They
Yeah.
create themselves to be somebody, so they're so believable that you're wanting to go watch them, or when you meet them, you feel like they're that person all the time, right? So
They're like a character.
correct. I mean,
It's a persona.
right? It's
Yeah.
like Ric Flair never gets out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Yeah.
that's kind of scary though, if they utilize it that way. If you think about it.
Well, that's a lot of stars have. They have. That's part of creating their persona, and that's what drives their marketing. And so that's where we, as people, have to decide what's important to us. Who's our audience going to be, right? What do we want to buy into? Because that's going to shape everything else that we do, right? I'm very, very specific. And I know we've talked about you have to be very diligent about who you surround yourself with. I also feel you have to be very diligent about what you watch, what you listen to. I'm very mindful of those things. I have that conversation as a parent with my children all the time, and point out opportunities where they're being negative or cranky. I call it, why are you being a grumpus? What have you been listening to today? Why are you grumpy?
Yeah, because music can change your whole mindset.
Oh, man, all of it. Yes. Yeah. Well, and music is another language. It is literally another language. And it's one that and it's interesting because it's one that translates actual language, right? It pulls at people. There's a physical, emotional response to music, not just thought process. It's all the things.
You become that song
Oh,
or
man.
that music.
All of it. Yes. And when I've sung for people, I get the comment a lot, man, like, I felt that. And I'll be singing in another language. And I'm like, I have no idea what you said, but that was so sad.
It sounded beautiful. And
Right? Yeah. But they knew. They got it. They could feel
it
it.
talked to my soul. And what was the name of the song on Step Brothers? Ava Maria?
Ave Maria?
Ave Maria.
Yeah.
See, I was close. J-Rock, I have a bunch of
Ave Maria.
useless knowledge.
He does that.
Yes.
He comes up with random things, I swear,
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, dude, how did you remember that?
Like, Kerstin, did you think that we were going to talk about Step Brothers today?
Not in a million years, no. But you never know, right? You never
We just
know.
But back to that topic, like, let's just say Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Was he really a gangster back on the streets of LBC, Long Beach, California? Who knows? But it was his persona.
It was his
and
persona,
it's made him
yeah.
millions of dollars.
Exactly.
And so they call that a wanksta or a studio gangster.
Right.
But you know what?
Which
It worked.
a lot of them are.
But it worked.
It worked.
Yeah. And they don't really have all these cars and these jewels and all that. It's you probably rent it out for their concerts and for their videos and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and they've had probably a body language strategist or some kind of persona strategist to say, hey,
Yeah.
just like in wrestling,
That's what I'm saying.
hey, this is a
Right.
storyline.
They do-
This is what
yes.
we're going to do. And this is how you're going to make millions of dollars. This is how you're going to influence.
This is how we're going to sell
Yeah.
this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this persona.
But you're authentic. You never
Very.
been on the mean streets of Seattle.
No.
And
no.
you weren't, smoking out there with Snoop.
Oh
or
gosh,
anything
no,
like
no,
that, you know?
that is definitely not my thing.
So we talked a lot about the body language thing.
Yeah.
We touched on the opera.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about just your book. I mean, when is that coming out? And it's called Perfect is Gross. But when is that?
Is Gross.
When does that come out?
That'll be coming out in 2026.
Okay.
And it's a.
Are you the sole author?
I am. Yes, I'm already a 2-time best-selling author.
Nice.
In collective books. This will be my first solo book, so I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a collage of memoir, a little bit of education, motivational, inspirational. It's a little bit of everything all thrown into one. Tell some of my story of how I got here, which has been quite the ride.
From Seattle to San Antonio area.
Yes.
What the heck? Why?
So that happened. I grew up in Washington and had lived in Maple Valley, Washington, which is just before the foothills going into the Cascades and Mount Rainier and all that beautiful space. And I had that house for 20 years, and it was destroyed by a water leak.
Wow.
So it was an underground water leak that went under the foundation and washed away a third of the foundation. And the house essentially just started pulling itself apart. And it became a very long situation because insurance didn't want to pay for it. They said, well, that, house owners need to do maintenance. I'm like, how do you do maintenance underneath a house?
Yeah.
It's slab on grade. There's nowhere to go. So I'm in the middle of fighting the insurance company. This is also when COVID hit. So we're in the middle of COVID, and we had to stay in a hotel for 3 months at first. Then I got sick of that, so I found us a house that was a 5,000 square foot mansion on a 20-acre property with a pool. That part didn't suck.
It's a lot of land.
That's a lot of land. Beautiful, beautiful land. And it was interesting because it was very isolated in a good way and in a bad way. It was, it was just such a weird time during the pandemic anyway. And it took about a year of fighting the insurance company before they finally said, okay, we'll start working on the house. So they finally start working on the house. And this is now when the BLM riots are happening in Seattle. And Antifa was going out into the neighborhoods and causing problems.
Was that the summer of love?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. Not my favorite part, but yes. So, we're on a 20-acre property, and our driveway is a mile-long dirt road. So nobody accidentally comes by the house. And one day, 10 cars start driving by the house, right? Yeah, see that facial expression right there? Yes. And they're stopping, and they're taking pictures. And, I'm a single mom, right? Me and my 2 girls.
Scary.
Scary.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, I was not okay with this. So I tell my kids, stay away from the windows. The owner lived on the other side of the property, so I called her. I said, hey, I just want to check with you because I feel like I need to call the police, but let me, connect with you first. Are you sending people to the house? And she goes, yeah, I don't know how to tell you this, but the house went into foreclosure and it's going for auction tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
She hadn't been paying.
She hadn't been paying. She just took the money from the insurance. And it sold the next morning. So in a very authentic moment of about 3 hours of crying and a lot of wine, my best friend came over. I had come down to Texas to just take a break from it all to visit friends in Cedar Park. One of my friends from high school, her and her husband had moved here. So I came down to visit and just fell in love with Texas. My grandma's from Texas, and she raised us with Southern hospitality. So I got here, and I was like, oh, my people.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, here you are.
Somebody held the door for me.
I know.
Everyone's a lot nicer over here.
I loved it. I'm
Right?
like, oh, my gosh, yes, please. Yeah. So I'd already put in my brain at some point, I knew I wanted to move to Texas. And my best friend came over, and, she's consoling me because I'm a hot mess at that point. And she said, well, insurance still has to pay for your housing for a while they're fixing the house. Why don't you go test drive Texas? And I was like, yeah. And here's the funny part.
Opportunity.
The opportunity was because we were still in COVID, all my children's schooling was still online, all my business was still online. So that was a Friday evening that we had that conversation. I spent the next week getting everything I needed together, all of our legal papers. I got the car tuned up. I got all the school papers, had a couple coffees with a couple of my girlfriends that I could fit in. And we packed up my minivan that I had at the time. And we left for Texas a week later with only what could fit in the minivan.
Wow.
New life, new journey, new everything.
Yeah. And this was without the actual approval from insurance. I just left. And I left them a message and said, by the way, I'm moving to Texas for the next 4 months. That's where you're going to be paying my rent. And they're like, well, I don't know about that. I said, well, I do. This is how this is going to go. And my lawyer's like, well, I don't know about that. I said, well, I know what I'm paying you for. So
make it happen.
That's your job. And I didn't have a plan on how we were going to get to Texas. I got on my phone every night and said, okay, I think we can make it this far. Oh, okay, there's a hotel. Book it. And I just did that every night until we got to Texas. Had an apartment here. Ended up, and of course, the nanosecond I was here again, I was like, okay, I'm not leaving. This is where we're meant to be. And so I auctioned off everything that I owned up in Washington State, 20 years of my life. And we started 100% over.
From scratch.
From scratch. And we got here on a Thursday. And the beauty of that moment was that was my children's spring break from school. So I had a 9-day period to work with. Okay, we have a little bit of wiggle room. And it was actually, it's funny, as a faith-based person, this tests my faith like crazy. And I remember we were somewhere at the south end of Colorado where there's nothing. Like, there's dirt. And that's it. Except for there were 2 cows in a tree. I do remember seeing that. There were 2 cows in a tree. I remember thinking, why are they here? It's so weird. And my daughter said, we weren't really talking or just being quiet in the car. And she goes, Mom, it feels weird to think we're homeless. I said, well, honey, we're not homeless. We just don't know what it looks like yet.
We're transitioning.
We're going to figure that out. And then about an hour later, insurance called, and there's crap reception. The call's coming in and out. Okay, you have permission. But I had found an apartment and put a $50 application fee in and told them what the situation was. And they said, okay, we need to hear from your insurance. And so they had taken the entire week to get this figured out. Insurance calls me and says, they're gonna hold it only through today to 5 p.m. because this has taken so long. I'm like, well, it's not taking so long because of me. But, and it's 4:37.
At 20 minutes.
I had 20 minutes to sign my lease and secure the apartment. And we can barely keep the phone call going. There's no reception on my phone. Hardly at all. And so, and my kids are hearing this over the car phone. And I said, I just need you to be quiet. And I prayed. So I have never prayed that hard. It was a literal, Jesus, I need you to take the wheel. Like right now, I may have really screwed this up. And just as I got done praying, we come over a ridge and there's a truck stop with Wi-Fi right there. So I get out and I'm running around like a crazy woman with my cell phone trying to find a place that's got consistent Wi-Fi. I'm having a hard time doing it. I'm up and moving now. I realize really how badly I need to go to the bathroom because I've been driving all day and I'm running out of time and I'm trying, and I'm like, okay, I've got to go. So I go into the restroom and I set my phone down to wash my hands and I pick it up. And just as I pick it up, whoop, I've got full Wi-Fi. So I signed my lease over the sink in the women's bathroom with 7 minutes to spare.
Wow.
Yes. And then we drove in and got the apartment.
Prayers answered, everything.
Led.
And everything has worked out.
Everything's worked out beautifully. Yes, this is where I started. Yeah, I'd been solo coaching and consulting up to that point. When I got to Texas, I had so many people coming to me going, okay, I want to learn more about what you do. How would I be able to do this? How can I connect with what you do? And that's where I decided to start and actually, as a full business, the Business Leadership Excellence Institute, and now have that be my main business.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
And what was your first, because we've talked about the opera thing too.
Yeah.
You started the opera thing 20 years ago, right? 30
yeah.
years ago.
When I was 5. No, that's joking.
So, because you've been on many stages.
I have.
And you learned a lot of things through opera. Not only
absolutely.
you learned the 4 pillars through opera.
That's where they started. Yes.
Getting on stage and being able to be approachable, show your confidence, and show your skill set, because not everybody has a skill set of being an opera star or opera singer.
Yes,
Right?
that is very correct. It's a lot of work.
And it's very niche.
Extremely niche.
And
yes.
it's very elegant. And it's not just like you are singing a song over at the karaoke bar. You're singing opera,
Yeah.
which utilizes your vocal cords in many ways more than if you're singing just a R&B song or something like that.
It utilizes your full body.
Right.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you're from your diaphragm and from your vocals and
From your
and
feet,
everything.
actually, all the way down to your feet. Positioning of your feet, positioning, because there's a lot of energy that you have to create in your voice to be able to project that far. A lot of people don't realize opera singers don't use mics. So at all.
And you fill the entire opera house.
And you have to
with your
fill the
voice.
and you have to sing over a full piece or orchestra, right? So they may have
That's
floor
so
mics,
crazy.
but you're not wearing a mic on you, ever. Not now. Musical theater they do.
Because that'll be
And-
really loud if you did. And
Oh,
it'd be over
blow
the top.
all the mics would all.
Have you been out to Australia at that famous opera house?
No, I would love to go there.
Is that
Yes.
like the mecca of opera, or is that one of them?
It's one of them. New York Met is one of the meccas.
Have you sang there before?
No, I have not.
Is it sang or performed? What's the right word?
Performed.
Because you're not really singing.
No, you're performing.
You're performing,
Two
right?
different things. Two very different things. And in my studio, we were a performance studio. So my students had a requirement of how many performances they did, how many competitions they were a part of. And there's nothing wrong with people who want to sing and learn to sing better, but that was not my way of teaching. My way of teaching was, I'm going to teach you to perform, and then I expect you to put that into action. And so that's why I had students that went on to sing in Broadway and become professional opera singers and things like that.
Because people are depending on them to perform
Yes.
and to give them the heartfelt performance.
Yes, the emotional performance. You have to have the physical stamina to support that, because most operas are at least 3 hours long. And so that's what I'm saying. It is literally a full body experience.
So it's not like the Hamilton play or anything like that. It's something completely different.
Well, there's similarities, but it is a different type of production. Yes.
My daughters love the Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton
Well, I
performance.
love those too. Yeah, I have.
So
I love
have you
music.
been part of plays and things like that?
Yeah, I was the
singing
opera
and-
singing
or
wardrobe and Beauty and the
dancing and-
Beast. That was fun.
Very awesome.
In a big old box, trying to hobble around in. Yes.
How's
Big wig.
how's the opera network here in the San Antonio, New Braunfels area?
It's fairly strong. That's what I really enjoy about San
You're
Antonio.
part of that?
Not just as an observer right now. Because now I'm spend my time in corporate. I spend my time in consulting and coaching and training. I'm more of the connoisseur of enjoying the performance. Occasionally, I will perform, but I only do it for charity now.
So you're like the Hall of Famer that's come out and you go
We can think of it that
and,
way. Yeah.
and you go watch some of these games,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's like who can we say? Barry Sanders and Terrell Owens,
Yeah.
and you just
Right.
come out and just
John
or
Cena next week.
Steve Largent from
I
the
love-
Seattle Seahawks.
yes, Steve
I think that's
Largent.
their only Hall of Famer ever.
Whatever. One of the best. Just saying.
But yeah, good on you. And so,
But
No-
I do perform when I do my keynotes. So I actually.
Do you?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
do you start off with that?
Yeah, I was about
No,
to
I
say.
end with that. I will end. So I go through the whole explanation, talking about body language strategy. All the reasons why it's important. I give some examples of what each of the pillars mean. And then I give the opera example of two different characters. And then using the example, I'll sing one song. And of course, everybody's like, oh my God, doing that kind of thing. But then I point out, I said, okay, you don't understand what I'm saying, but you're feeling it, right? You're pulled to it. And we still have that human to human, right? That doesn't go away. It doesn't go away just because you're not singing. Singing takes it on a whole other level. And then I show what it looks like between two different opera characters. I can look like the dynamic female heroine in one role, and then I can be the decrepit old maid, right? Or the mother role, whatever it's, and I have to show and hold my body
With your
different.
posture.
With my posture, with my facial expressions.
So that's
So
how
I
those
was-
two correlate.
Right, right. So one role I played was Contessa, which is the Countess in the Marriage of Figaro. And for her, one thing I never did is I never put my hands below my waist because that's more common, right? She was royalty, so everything was kept up in this space. And then there was another role where I played, she was really the mother role, but she was the nursemaid to the main character, Violetta in La Traviata. And with her, because she was in a position where she had no authority to help, but she was watching her daughter die. I'm not giving anything away if you go see the opera, but you find that out from the beginning. She was very frustrated, and she was older, and so all of my emotions were all kept inward this way, and I had more inactive energy. What that means is you're not putting your energy into a meaningful action. You're keeping it's floating into other parts of your body, right? That's that playing with your ring type of energy that you were talking about. So, even though it's the exact same body, you see me as two different people. So that's what I use as the example of that's the permission you give of how people are going to see you, and the permission of how they're going to interact with you depends on the presence that you show.
Yep. Very intriguing.
Yeah.
And J-Rock, have you learned some stuff today?
Heck yeah. I'm not going to sit with my arms folded anymore.
Yeah, Carlos face.
Yeah.
Carlos
I mean, because I
face.
tend to, sit back a little bit here and there. But like,
You sit back there with RBF sometimes?
You probably noticed me earlier when I was like, getting more intrigued. I'm just kind of just sitting there and just kind of, But
Attentive.
I've always kind of just always been that way too. But definitely would suck at poker. So to say.
And that's another space you can use it, right?
Right.
Because you learn to shut it off, turn it on, those kind of, it can be used in a lot of different ways. I always encourage everybody to use it for positive.
Yes.
Make the world a better place.
Do you play poker?
I do not. I love to deal
Okay.
because I love watching everybody.
Okay, same the same way.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see what happens.
They're like, hey, let's do a poker night. I'm like, yeah, I'll deal. Like,
I
won't
love
do any
dealing.
of that.
Hey,
I
yeah.
won't do that.
So everybody tries to have the poker face where they're not showing emotion.
Right.
They could have a full house or something,
Yeah.
and you'll never know it.
Yeah.
Right? They'll just start putting more chips in, and that's kind of how you figure it out. Or they're bluffing.
Yeah. That's why Remy's good at poker, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. I'd be like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it really all planned. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. Where can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to win the big bucks.
J-Rock, do you carry your emotions on your sleeve?
Yeah. A lot. Like you were talking about music.
Yeah.
Like if I hear a really good singer, I
Yeah.
get emotional.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to a lot of R&B music, and my mom might even be able to tell me this, but I remember her listening to a lot of opera music too when she was clean.
Nice.
So, but I just get really emotional. I mean, I watch a movie. I'm gonna cry on Saturday when John Cena retires. Like just
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. Like I'm an emotional person, so
Right.
I guess I do wear wear it on my sleeve, right? So
Do you have any advice on that? I mean, can you coach yourself to not have your emotions?
Yeah. You
Out in
learn to
front of you?
manage your energy.
What kind of
That's-
strategy can you give us on that? So people that are very vocal and wear their emotions on their faces.
It's learning to manage the breath. That's the key factor. That's honestly the key to life is learning to manage your breath. It does a lot of things for your body. It does a lot of things for your emotions. Your primal brain, which is your survival part. Okay, so this is where like we really start body language strategy from the inside. Your primal brain is what starts the communication between the outer body and the inner body. So your inner body is your organs. It's also your thought processes. Okay. Your outer body is the outer shell, which is all your muscles. When you're emotional, okay, the primal brain goes, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's going on. Even if it's good.
It's a disconnect.
Right? It's not no, actually, it's an awareness. It's an action button, right?
Okay.
It's fight or flight. So, okay, we got to respond to something. We got to get ready. So you get that adrenal rush, right? All the adrenals start going. And we tend to, as a society, because we're trying to be perfect, right? Perfect is gross. We try to shut it down as fast as we can instead of giving it a place to go. So this is what I always told my singers when we, first working with them. I was teaching them how to deal with stage fright or the nervous energy. And I said, you have to let your butterflies fly. Give them lots of space to move, because when you try to stop it, okay, you're actually trapping all the adrenal factors in your muscles, and your body's going, oh no, we're not using it. Let me give you more. And then so now it's going to do even more, and you're making it 10 times worse. So when you go into a breath and you keep your breath normal, because that's the other factor. When you start breathing irregular, that's another thing that triggers the fight or flight. It triggers the primal brain. Something's going on. Something's wrong. I'm here to help you. Okay, here you go. Here's all the adrenals again. When you go back to a regulated breath, that's the physical trigger to the brain. It's cool. We're good. So that's when people are hyperventilating or something like, okay,
anxiety.
Just take a breath, right? That's actually the thing you need to do. But it's not just take one deep breath. It's get into a natural breathing rhythm, because that tells the rest of the body, okay, we can relax now. So when you're a good breather, right? And these are people, singers are taught to breathe well. Athletes are taught to breathe well. People who have had my type of training or any kind of speaking training, when it comes to breath, they're the ones who can keep their cool, because they keep their body in a regulated energetic state. So that's why breathing is the key to, it's literally the key to life. That's a no-brainer, but it really is the key to your presence and what we build everything else off of.
And indirectly, you can think clearer and make decisions better and give energy and build more opportunities, not only for winning yourself, but helping others win.
Well, because it's a huge focus factor. Yeah. Again, the physicality is when we breathe in, the first shot of oxygen goes up to the brain. The brain's 1.5% of our body mass, but it takes up 20% of the oxygen intake. So if we're creating some kind of suffering in our breathing, where we're not getting the right flow of oxygen, the first thing it affects is our focus and our thinking capacity. So again, that's another part of keeping that stress down of, okay, I'm just going to breathe through this. I'm going to keep that focus. It keeps the voice strong, right? Which then not only are we feeling confident and feeling like we can keep calm, other people see you as calm, right? Because your voice is steady, because the whole vocal aspect is built on your breath flow.
And that's a leadership skill set as well.
That is a leadership skill set.
Because when you're calm, it calms everybody else down. If the leader is freaking out, then everybody else is going to freak out, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
so
contagious
it's all full
either way.
Circle. It's all full circle.
Yes.
The breathing and the posture and everything falls back to in leadership. Leadership has a ton of tentacles.
It does.
But we've talked about a lot of different elements today in this short conversation that we've had. Yeah. And my friend, you are a great leader. From the first time I met you, I can tell you had the 4 pillars. You had the approachability, the confidence, the competence, and you had this all, and I could just tell, because we're very similar in a sense that we can be in any room, and it doesn't matter whether we're in a room of fishermen, whether we're in a room of athletes, doctors, lawyers, comedians.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
No.
The nucleus is just being confident about your abilities to be approachable and to talk to people and compliment others. We talked about that before. Being able to compliment others is a skill set that builds relationships. Because if you can compliment others, and it could be something subtle. Hey, nice shoes. Hey, nice shirt.
Right.
Nice ring. Whatever. People are going to oh, okay, this guy's cool. He's approachable. And conversations start building from that little exchange.
Yes. It's a door open. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like you talked about the posture, opening the door here, you're opening the door verbally for others to approach you. And then you can give anything that you want as far as positivity or negativity, however you want to see it. So, yeah, great mindset. And, we appreciate you. But I want to get into something right now.
Yeah.
We talked about before we were live here, you said you're an omni-mom.
I am an omni mom.
That's
what I call it.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So as a single mom, right, that's and single parenting in general. I mean, it's a tough job, right? There's a lot on your plate. The unity factor is harder to work with, and it depends on the situation. As an omni mom, I am the only parent in my children's lives, right? Their father is no longer a part of their life. It's been that way for 6 years, and so everything is solely my responsible. I don't have another person to turn to, and I don't have another person to argue with either. So I will say there's that part of it, right? It's a double-edged sword. But yeah, the full responsibility rests on me.
And you love that. You take it on.
I do take it
full
on.
board.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love being able to be there for my children, being able to guide my children. It's being actively a part of their life on a regular basis. They're both in college. They both still live at home. So, and I dropped the bomb on them that they're going to start paying rent next month.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's part of leadership.
Right. That's part of leadership. And I said, so this is my opportunity as your mom to show you how to budget and learn how to do the adulting still with some care and guidance instead of just throwing you out into the world and, have a great time. But again, it's everything as an omni mom. I'm the one who's in charge of all the scheduling. If they need help with something, that's fully on my shoulders.
You're the CEO.
Of everything. Yes, I am.
And the CFO and
Yeah.
COO and you're everything. And you
Yes.
take full responsibility for everything that happens.
I do.
So I know in my travels, I see there's some parents that the kids live with them, 27, 28 years old, sometimes 30, 32, and they've never had to pay any bills.
Oof,
They've never had
no.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
What happens? And it's a rhetorical question. I can tell you what happens. The kid never learns responsibility.
Exactly.
The kid is always going to be a kid. They're not adults. I mean, they're adults in age
Yeah.
and in body,
Right.
but mentally, they're not adults.
No.
They're a
not.
shell.
Yes.
And I think as parents, as strong leaders, or maybe moderate leaders, we need to be able to tell our kids, hey, it's time for you to pay rent.
Yeah.
And maybe not even rent. It's not always about monetary.
No.
Sometimes it's about service.
And contribution.
And
right.
what value are you providing not only for me, but for yourself?
Yes.
You got to be learning something. You got to be learning responsibility, because if you don't, and then you go off and get married, you're not going to be a good wife. You're going to be a horrible wife.
Yes.
You're going to be a horrible mom.
Right.
Because you don't know anything. And if you don't know responsibility, how in the hell can you teach somebody else to be responsible?
Exactly. And they don't get to enjoy the factor of responsibility. So the cutest thing was, I won't say they were happy about that conversation at 18 and 22, but they understood. They didn't fight me on it. We talked through all the different bills. Here's what you're going to be contributing to. These are the things you got to think about. Starting to, you both have cars. You need to start saving money for all the different things. And I just say, okay. 2 days later, my youngest, Archie, comes home with a huge amount of grocery bags, right? She goes, Mom, I went to the grocery store all by myself on my own.
Nice.
Right. I bought us groceries. I was like, oh, that's awesome. She goes, yeah, it was kind of weird, but I did it.
Was
Right?
it Hot Pockets, Top Ramen?
No. Now my Archie is my
college.
cook. This child, okay, to be bragging, she bought filet mignon and made it for me 2
Wow.
nights ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So
Okay.
I have taught my children.
You're
to
teaching her
cook.
well.
Yes. But that's the thing. I said, so did you get that big feeling when you went to the grocery store? She's like, yeah, I did. I really did.
Good.
So it's not just the factor of, well, okay, now you got to learn adulting sucks and blah, blah, blah. We put a lot, there's all that negative connotation on it. But there's a lot of people that forget to put, there's a lot of learning your self-worth with this, learning the pride of, I can take care of myself. I can contribute.
Yeah.
That is a part of my value. That is what makes me proud of myself. And I feel like if we're not giving the kids the opportunity to experience that when they're under our wing, Okay. We are not giving them the tool set to guarantee they're going to be able to do it when they're not under our wing. Right?
Yep.
That we need to teach now, not later.
Yep. Did you notice I was going on a rant? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I was turning into Andy Frischella. I'm passionate
We were having
about
a
that kind
moment
of stuff.
there.
I think part of the military mindset takes
Yeah.
over me, and I start getting amped up.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just part of who I am as well. But I love parenting because
Yes.
it challenges me. I don't like easy stuff. Easy stuff sucks.
It doesn't go anywhere.
No. The hard stuff and the challenging stuff is what makes me better and makes me more experienced, and it enhances my skill set.
Right.
And if you don't always sharpen your knife, so to speak, if your knife's not always sharp, then you're kind of just fading away.
I totally
So I'm
agree.
always trying to keep that knife sharp to be able to give tutelage and give mentorship, not only to my kids, but to grown adults and grown people. That's part of why
Right.
we do this podcast as well. If we can just touch one person in a positive way to give them a different mindset or different perspective,
Right.
then it's a win.
I agree.
And hopefully we've done that with you today, not giving you different perspective, but the audience.
Yes.
Because you've given us, myself, J-Rock, and the audience, a whole different perspective as well. Body language is essential and it's part of our lives, but I didn't look at it in a way that you've taught us today. So the education factor has really hit home, and hopefully somebody gets something out of it, whether they're interviewing or whether just talking to a crowd or just talking on camera or whatever.
Yeah.
Posture is everything, because half of the time, Kerstin, we're on our phones all day doing this, right? And we get hunched, and our neck begins to strain, and we need massages and all these, we start getting ailments in our shoulders and our back, and then we start getting sciatica, and it all gets
All the
down
things.
to your feet. And it's all related to bad posture, I
Yes.
think. Because we
It
can blame
is.
it on age, but I know some 60-year-olds that have great posture, and they don't have all these bad body aches
Right.
the way some of us do.
A lot of my clients, and not that we're gearing towards this, but as we're working on their posture and getting their body to be more aligned and in balance, they'll come to me about a month or two later, and like, all of a sudden my hip pain has gotten so much better with this, right? But you're right. All of our normal society activities are all pulled forward. We're on our phones, we're on the computer, we're in our cars, we're sitting there watching TV, doing this kind of thing. And that becomes the muscle memory, right? And actually, the other side of this is, this is the joke we have in the house, that's starting to happen on our faces with phones. And I've talked with, I work in the national security sector with some of my clients, and talking with government officials and those kind of things. And I've had the feedback, I'll say, they're so frustrated with a lot of this younger, like the interns and people who are coming in for jobs. And we don't get any response from them because they spend so much time looking at their phone like this that when they go to answer somebody,
Wow.
and it has become a social norm. And it's pissing off bosses, it's pissing off parents. But the problem is we're allowing our children to be doing this on a regular basis. We're texting our kids, come down for dinner. Okay, come down from your bedroom upstairs. Or we're all going out to dinner and all the kids are looking at their phones, right? I never allowed my kids to do that. I still don't. I said, do not text me from upstairs. You come look at my face if you have something to say to me. And we'll go out to dinner and my kids will be, oh my gosh, that family, they're all on their phones. Can you see that?
Yeah.
They're all on their phones. We're not even talking to each other. And so my kids are very responsive because I have kept, I'm not saying we're not on our phones. We're all guilty of that
Yeah.
because it is yes, we're all guilty of that. But I feel the more opportunity we can take, right, with not just our body posture, but with our facial posture is huge. And we are not doing ourselves any services. We're not doing ourselves any favors keeping our face in our phone, right? That we need to get back to this energetic looking at each other, understanding there is a response to what I am saying. We talked about emotional responsibility. this is my philosophy, we're losing emotional responsibility between people because I get to send you a message. I really can't believe you did that. That really pissed me off. Right. And then I get to just sit in my own moment of pissed offness. And that's right. I'm pissed. I can't believe you did that. And I don't have to see the emotional response from the other person. I just get to sit and bask in my own feeling of it. So we've lost that point of we need to be responsible to each other emotionally. And we don't get to do that. And that's the key. We don't get to do that unless we're doing it face to face.
I've been coaching for 23 years now, started when I was 15. And the responses I get from kids is crazy now. And to that manner. And oh my gosh, hopefully I don't get in trouble for this one. But this was last week. The mom comes up to me. She goes, "Hey, we're on practice number 3." I said, "Yeah, how's it going?" She goes, "Well, and I'm just going to make up a name so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
But, little Timmy doesn't really get yelled at. And you're not yelling at him, but I see that's how you coach." I said, "Yeah. And what's the problem?" Like, "Well, can you calm down?" I said, there's 22 other kids in here.
Right.
You want me to just calm down for one?" I said, "Nah, I'm not going to." I said, I don't know how you want to take this on, but I'm not going to change my coaching for you.
Right.
This is a city league. I get it, but, there's 4 other teams if you want. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you right now, you taking them away from this is not going to teach them how to get through life later on. And so it's up to you. I said, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm a very aggressive coach.
Yeah.
But it's because I've been doing this for so long but I know where the kid is going to go with it.
Right.
I said, he might not like me for 8 weeks, but after this 8 weeks, he might get used to getting yelled at a little bit, which might help him later on in life. But again, it's all about what you're telling him at home though too, man. Like, is this a good thing or a bad thing as well, right? So those are these kids nowadays, it's kind of getting scary.
Because we know the result. The result's teaching them about life.
Correct.
Right.
And the result is, it's a process. Now, I was a basic training instructor in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if I went in there being nice and gentle?
Yeah.
Who's going to learn anything?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Because these guys from, when they go out to war or go to other countries, they're not going to be so nice to the American troops.
No.
And just like in life sucks sometimes. You're going to get sick. You're going to get hit with loss of a job and all these, but it all is taught when you're 15, 16 years old. Heartbreak, coach yelling at you, your parent, gets on your butt, grounds you, these kind of things.
Well, you have to learn to manage your emotions too,
Right.
right? So it's learning to deal with obstacles. It's learning to manage your emotions. It's learning to deal with another person who may be a little different than you're used to. So another part of my past was I was a public school teacher for a couple years. So when I was first doing opera, I was doing opera at night and then teaching choir during the day. And my school that I taught at was only about a mile from SeaTac Airport, which is one of the major ports for the United States. And so we were getting brand new families in from other countries, very diverse population, which I love. I love learning about different cultures. We had a lot of gang activity, and they had put a student in my class who just got out of juvie, and because he had a beautiful singing voice, okay, but he didn't want to be there, right? And so his parents and the system worked out, okay, if we put him back in school, this is basically your last chance thing, where if you pass all your classes, they can be all D's, but as long as you pass all your classes, we'll erase the past stuff. And I'm not going to go into what he did, but he, it was substantial things, gang things, and we'll give you a fresh start, essentially. So giant Samoan kid, huge. So, I mean, literally, we've been talking football. Marshawn Lynch, there we go, looked like a Samoan version of him. Wow. Beard, very muscular, tattoos everywhere, intimidating to look at. And he would sit in the back of my class, the whole orange cup. Mm-hmm. Like, Ernest, do you have to get up and sing? And wouldn't do anything. And so I made the choice at first. I was like, okay, as long as he's not disrupting my class, And he had an ankle bracelet on, so he was still under house arrest. So I said, I'm going to work with the system. Normally, I would not allow this in my class, but this is a little bit different situation. Well, then he got bored because he wasn't doing anything in my class. So then he started messing with other kids. I said, Ernest, don't mess with the other kids. If you're going to be in here, you either sing or you be quiet, period. And I would always get the same response. Right, big old chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. So finally one day, he's really started messing with these kids, and I just had it.
So he was a bully.
He was a bully, yes. Like 6'3".
And the kids
bully,
were
like giant.
The kids are scared
bully.
of him.
Oh yeah.
A man bully.
He was very much so. And so I just, I had my piano because I was teaching choir, and I slapped down the music. I said, Ernest, that's it. I've had it. You're out of my class. And he goes, you can't kick me out. I said, watch me. All right. And so I picked up the phone, and because the phone was in the classroom, and I called the office. I said, okay, Ernest has gone through all of my different requests. He's refusing. I am kicking him out of class. And I hear on the, well, you can't, are you sure? I said, yes, I am. I am very sure. Well, you know what that means? Yes, I do. We're doing this right now. Right. And all of a sudden he realized I was serious. And he's like, okay, fine, now sing. I said, you don't get to sing in my class. You are done. And so I started filling out, here's his student number, blah, 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 blah. He's like, no, I'm going to sing in your class. And I said, the only way you get to stay and sing in my class is if you take this piece of paper and hold it to the wall with your nose. And the whole class started to laugh. And I said, don't, because you're next. And they're all like, oh, like just instantly quiet, right? And he goes, well, I'm not going to do that. I said, fine. And okay, here's this number, blah, 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 blah. He's like, fine. He grabs it and he takes it up to the wall and he holds it up with his hand and he goes, there. And I said, no, with your nose now. And, we had this really intense stare down. And he's just looking at me like this and finally goes, and he held it up with his nose for probably 3 seconds, which I'm sure felt like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And then he pulled it down and slapped it back on the thing and then went and sat back down. And I said, okay, now you get to sing. And he did. He had the most beautiful voice.
You broke him.
He became my lieutenant in that class.
Wow.
And he was like, when teacher says sit down, and you sing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's singing that class after that. But so cool. It's not about breaking him. It's about creating that mutual respect. And I think as parents, right, as coaches, we need to create that space of I'm here for you, but you have to be here for me just as much, right? And if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to get the nice treatment, right? Because that's the way life is.
We got to reciprocate value.
We got to reciprocate value and contribution. Absolutely. Yes.
And there's movies like that, Stand and Deliver.
Right.
And there's
that was pretty much my experience teaching. Yeah.
Dangerous Minds. You remember that movie, Dangerous Minds, Stand and Deliver?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got thrown across the classroom by a student. It was
my gosh.
And Ernest was the one who gathered the students and took me aside and went to the principal and said, I saw the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, I that was literally my experience because it was a Title I school.
It's crazy how you can, well, like you said, you didn't want to say that you turned them or anything like that, but like the respect after that, the trust gains, and sometimes it just takes that toughness to them. Like I've never wanted to, like, if a kid's here, I never wanted to meet him there.
Right.
I wanted to just try to sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they make me kind of pass it and they're like, oh shoot, okay, maybe just come back down with him,
Right.
So, but yeah, that's kind of one of the, it's probably what happens more today than anything, like more than ever. And it stinks, man. Cause the kids that I had 8 years ago, like I said, between 5 and 8 years ago, they were so easy to coach and have understanding and life and being able to connect those dots like, hey, man, if you do this, this is going to give you this part of life that you want. Because you say you want this, but there's a couple steps we got to take to get there. You know what I mean?
It's just not given to you.
Yeah, and it's just more, it was more understanding then. And I don't know, again, if it's just so much easier now to get things that these kids take it that way, but
We're in a microwave society.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposed to just get it right now.
Yeah. So that's tough.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Well, and I had a lot of my singing students come back after many years of working with me. I was very diligent about how they introduced themselves, no matter where they were. We took an entire lesson, no singing. I'm going to only teach you how to introduce yourself, how you walk in a room, how you stand when you're introducing yourself, how you shake a hand. I did like very, very, very particular about it.
I wish I was taught that.
Right. And I have had a ton of my students later send me messages. I can't believe how much I use that every single day.
Always shake hands standing up.
Yeah, shake hands standing up. You look the person in the eye. This is how you say your name, right? Not, hey, I'm Kerstin. Hello, my name is Kerstin Oleta. We talk about the vocal tone, all those things. And it's like, oh my gosh, like it's the number one tool I use. And that, even though it feels like it's very, very basic, it's a foundation, right? That's the type of foundation aspects that you build on.
There's a lot of kids out there that are wanting to learn things and they don't have the tools or the people to go and do that.
Mentorship.
So,
Right.
they're not getting a lot of that, right? And so I was one of those kids. I was a good kid. Like, I didn't get in trouble. My parents loved many other people. And that's how I learned to care about other people too, right?
Yeah.
But the other day I actually heard this and now I'm like living it, was like, I can't blame my dad for not being the mentor. But I'm glad today that he didn't, because I met all these other guys that were mentors, and then so I'm like, man, I would have never took that in, because what if my dad was that dad who was like, don't listen to that guy, you listen to me.
Right.
But he was just like, oh, go do what you need to do, just don't get in trouble, and so as I got older, I wouldn't even say that. Now I appreciate them in a way to where I understand it that way. Like, man, I miss, the Andy Villanueva of my life, that if I never would have met my friend Brandon, and Andy would have never took me to a football field. And I tell my basketball kids, we wouldn't even be in this gym right now, because I would have never liked sports,
Right.
because of him.
Yeah.
And then I have my other mentors. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for Johnny as well, because he mentored me to do these type of things, right? So it's just like, I was looking for those things, and I'm so glad I didn't, I guess, find them then, because I'm happy where I found them now, and then it's short past, you know what I mean? Just so I hope that those kids can find what you're doing as well, because all this is awesome. We have guests on, and these guests teach me a lot when I'm sitting here, because I never got this type of mentorship when I was younger. So I appreciate everything you're telling us. So
Well, thank you. Well, that's my joy space, is whether it was working with the students or working, all the way up to corporate and government, all those different things. When I am working with someone and I see them going from either feeling insecure or unsure of how they're going to show up, how they're going to lead, how am I going to create opportunities not only for myself but for my people, right? That's a whole other level of responsibility. And then they move into a space where they're owning it, right? And you see now they're creating impact, and now they have the influence because they have the connections with the right people, because they were able to connect with those people, right? That's what makes my joy meter just, go to the top, and I'm wagging my tail all day long. It just, really, I love what I do. I get to work with live Barbie dolls all day long.
That's your wealth.
It's a huge part of my wealth.
And we're all very wealthy here because of people like yourself and J-Rock and
Thank
you. Our audience. I really love our audience, and it's been great having you. Our audience teaches us some things as well.
Oh, absolutely.
We've met a lot of cool people that have approached us out at HEB or wherever, and they inspire us, and that's my wealth. And it's not money. It's wealth to me is value, and if I can provide value and they provide value to me, because it's reciprocal. We just said that about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
They provide value to me and saying, hey man, you inspired me, or you motivated me. Hey, I saw that podcast you had with Kerstin Oleta, and she did this and this, and she said this, and I'm like, wow. So we did it. I mean, what we're doing today is impactful,
right?
And it's legacy. I know legacy gets thrown around a lot, but legacy is something internal that only everybody has a different mindset on what legacy is. But mine is inspiring, motivated, educating people.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to do. Whenever it's all said and done, and at my eulogy, people are saying, man, that Johnny Martinez, he gave a shit, and he impacted people.
Right.
and he made people feel good. That's all I need.
That's
right?
awesome.
And you're doing the same thing. So where else can we find you, Kerstin?
Well, you can find me. I'm doing a lot of things in San Antonio, working with. I'm an independent, or excuse me, I'm an industry mission partner for the National Security Collaboration Center here in San Antonio.
That's a big deal.
That's a very big deal. Yes, a lot of doing a lot of really exciting things, working with a lot of influential aspects. So I'm enjoying that. But I do go around. I mean, I speak around the world. I was just in Paris speaking for an international women's conference on International Women's Day in Paris, France.
Very
That
nice.
was very cool. And so I do a lot of speaking opportunities. Also, I do trainings. So those are things that I'm doing in different businesses, doing workshops around town, either here, San Antonio. I do have some coming up, so I can share those.
The women's realtors, the women's council of realtors. Right?
I have done a lot of work with Women's Council of Realtors. I love Women's Council. They were that was actually my first virtual client. Was the president in 14, I think, for the state of California. She had heard about me and called me up and said, "Okay, I've been told I have to work with you.
Yeah.
How do we do this?" And I said, "What, are you going to fly up?" She goes, "No, but there's this thing called Zoom."
Yeah.
Do you know? Actually, I think we did Skype at first. I think, can we do this on Skype? Can we do this? I said, honestly, I have no idea, because I'd only done it in person at that point. And I said, but I'm willing to try if you're okay with it. She said, yeah, let's do it. And then after that, I moved everybody. I didn't care if you moved 2 blocks away. I mean, everybody's on Zoom. Just makes it easy. We don't have to deal with traffic. I can record everything. I can feed it back to you. So yeah, that again, your audience and your clients teach you a lot. And I just had to be open to the opportunity to, let's try this a little different. And that's what opened the opportunity to work with eBay Global when they contacted me and said, we have 5 different directors all over the world that we want you to work with. Okay.
Say less.
I can, yeah, right?
Yeah.
When do we start? Let's get this going.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing experience. And actually, that was interesting, the timing of that, because I had really solidified body language strategy with my national clients, but I hadn't had the chance to try it internationally yet. So I had this giant worldwide petri dish to put it into effect. And so it worked beautifully, and developed the executive management wheel, working with eBay Global with all their needs of what was happening in different departments. And that worked every single time. And, really learning how to create, it's a system of how to create a momentum of success, not just success from A to Z. Right. It's how do we create it now, but how do we create it for the future also? And that has worked with every industry that I work with. So that's one of my major trainings, both body language strategy and the, ecosystem and executive performance are both award winning.
That's the word I was going to use. Ecosystem.
Yes, I do ecosystem design and performance design.
You live in an ecosystem of business strategy.
Yes.
And body language strategy.
Yes.
And it all lives together, just like the zebra, the lion, the hippopotamus, and the elephant all live together in the jungle.
Yeah.
All of your strategies and platforms all live together in unison.
Yes, they all work together.
And they all need each other
Yes.
in order to function properly. So
Absolutely.
bingo.
Yeah, you have to have structure. You have to have framework. You have to have an effective culture, right? Both in organizational and human-centric factors. So it's learning to get those incorporated into your business systems and your business ecosystems. And then that's when we create a system of success.
And they all create success, impact, results, and value.
Yes.
And then a whole bunch
And
of
then
other
it just
things.
builds, yes.
Yeah,
It just-
momentum.
yes.
Everything. Social media, where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can find me, I have a YouTube channel where there's a lot of, I've been doing Coffee with Kerstin for years. That's where I interview different leaders. A very short version of this of, how are you showing up in your business? And then what are some magic nuggets you want to share forward? So it's inspirational and tip oriented. And then those are my main. You can also find me on Instagram.
Very nice.
Yes.
So how was this podcast today?
Oh, I loved it. This is my jam. This is
We
my
can
happy
do
space.
episode 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think we should.
You're easy to talk to.
Thank you.
You're very educated.
Thank
and
you.
you're very well versed, and you have a great skill set, and it's an inspiring story that we just want to keep peeling back the onion, and just like, what else is there? What else? What else? What other values can we find?
Oh, there's lots
And,
more.
Yeah, and you mentioned nuggets. There's a bunch of them.
Yes.
And we love guests like that are dynamic in the sense that, hey, I can not only help you in this phase of your life, but I can help you at the end of your life. I can help you in the very beginning. I
Right.
can help you in so many phases of life. And that is a diamond in the rough to find. And it's a gem. So thank you.
We should do a live podcast and have people sit there and chicken.
Hey,
Oh, hey, that'd be fun.
Right, that'd be
yeah,
fun,
I'm,
right?
I'm
Right?
totally
That'd be
open to
fun.
that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So those of you watching, hopefully you've enjoyed this show. Like I said, we could have gone on and on and on, but we plan on having Kerstin Oleta on future shows to not only provide inspiration, motivation, education, but maybe we can talk a little bit about her likes as far as movies and music and beyond, the more humanistic approach to podcasting. We like to get deeper in the weeds on her podcasts and all these other strengths that she provides, and she can inspire you. So with that said, you can find us on social media. Socialplugmedia.net is our website. You can find us all across social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and we're even on Spotify. So with that said, you are unplugged from the Social Plug Podcast, where we connect you to level up, and we'll see you next time.